Microsoft's big, bold, beautiful Xbox Showcase 2024 is in the bag, and a lot of people online seem to think that the entire summer is in the bag for Microsoft, meaning that they delivered their best showcase in half a decade and delivered one of the greatest summer shows we have ever seen. I think this was a really strong show, but I'll give you my opinion and takes on the different titles, what I thought was really great, and a few things I thought that weren't so great in this video. What's going on, everybody? It's GhostRobo. Right off the bat, I have to say that we still are in this quandary zone where Xbox games are coming. They're coming, but they're not here, and I think that is my biggest, confusion point. State of Decay 3, no real set release date. Even games this year, Indiana Jones, no real set release date. Avowed, no real set release date. And so many titles like Perfect Dark, no real set release date. Where was Clockwork Revolution? My favorite that I loved from last year didn't even pop up. Fable looks amazing, but no release date. If Microsoft had their plan together and put forth this lineup at the beginning of the generation back in 2020, we would be in a dramatically different generation. If they had led the Xbox Series X with games like Avowed, games like Fable, games like South of Midnight, games like Gears of War, E-Day, games like Indiana Jones, and games like Perfect Dark and Fable, we'd be feeling great. But these games are still not here. I think if we're going to evaluate this in comparison to recent shows like Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest, yeah, this is a home run of all home runs. But to me, it's an 8 out of 10, which is still a very strong show, but it's missing the extra oomph that makes it great, and that would be mainly release dates. And then I think some of the things they chose to show, they just feel like they're trying to bank and cash in on yesteryear, and I know that's a great thing to do, but I think Xbox is still awaiting the next big IP, and it's something that has hurt them significantly for years now. Nonetheless, I don't want you to think I'm negative on this show because I did really enjoy it, and I thought there was a lot of great stuff to get out of it. And let's start with Fable. Fable's looking fantastic. I remember playing Fable on the channel way back in the day, a game that is just as goofy as it is good, and this one seems to be very strong. It looks very much like Fable in the modern generation, but again, we don't know when it's coming. It's at least coming 2025, maybe 2026, maybe beyond. Who knows? But it was a cool first look, and I thought that the combat looked improved, the cities looked massive, and it does seem to retain the humor, even though it's switched developers and is now made by Playground Games. Perfect Dark, similarly, continuing a franchise that used to be cool and maybe gets cooler. I thought this look at Joanna Dark was much more like Splinter Cell Joanna Dark. I like the parkour, I like the stealth, I like the world-bending stuff. Like, okay, hey, this game may not be what it seems. It looks like you're just in this traditional futuristic town, but then all of a sudden the Earth starts maybe glitching out, and maybe there is parallel dimensions, alternate realities, but no date on Perfect Dark and not really a ton of gameplay. Even amongst the trailers for this year, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle and Avowed, not too much gameplay either. Indiana Jones was more of a cutscene, and while I think that game looks cool, I'm still trying to grasp what Indiana Jones is. What percentage of the game is combat? What percentage of the game is movie and cinematic adventure? Is it more Uncharted? Is it more walking sim? Is it more Wolfenstein? It's hard to get a grasp because their trailers show not much. They'll show a sizzle reel of combat and then a lot of cutscenes, and it's kind of hard to get a grasp on what's going on with this game. Avowed, I thought, had its best trailer yet. I really liked how it looked, and to me it finally looked like a game that I really want to play as opposed to a B-tier Skyrim. I don't know, something about the colors, the environments, the characters. It looks like they have made significant strides in this game since it first was shown and since its last big trailer. I like where it's headed. I don't know when I'm going to play it, though. I find it so bizarre that both Indiana Jones and Avowed are coming out later this year, and we don't have release dates for either of them. When will they give us release dates? I'm imagining these games are November and December titles, so maybe they're just waiting to lock in a specific week, and there's going to be an Xbox Direct, and what do they call IDX? No, that's indie. Xbox Direct, is that what it's called? I don't know. Some sort of Xbox event in September or August. Maybe Gamescom, they get release dates. Anyways. Other stuff that I thought looked really, really sweet would be the new Life is Strange. Life is Strange Double Exposure brings back Max Caulfield, a game I adored the first time I played it on this channel, and a game that I think is the best of all the Life is Strange. The first was definitely the pinnacle for me, and I hope they're able to recreate that with a pretty darn awesome, interesting new idea where you're basically like pulling a Spider-Man across the Spider-Verse, but Life is Strange, and it's out later this year. It's coming to Switch, and it just looks like it's going to be harkening back to what made Life is Strange special. If they can get intense and creepy with the mystery, I think it'll be a fantastic time. South of Midnight is maybe Xbox's most exciting IP because it is brand new and because it does look really quirky and cool. It's a mix of like claymation with cel-shaded, Borderlands meets Paranorman, or maybe Coraline. It's got a character that's very mobile, nimble, and I thought a lot of the games, including South of Midnight in this showcase, looked like 360 titles. And I don't mean that from a visual perspective or a bad, nasty comment. I mean like in a good way. Games like Fable and Perfect Dark, games like South of Midnight felt more to me like games that you would have seen in the 360 era. And I think that's a huge win for people like me that like single player games. A huge win for people like me that love the 360 era and feel like that's when Xbox was at its absolute strongest. So they seem to be trying to recreate that. And even though I think they could do with a few more new IP, South of Midnight is a very strong, different IP that has its own unique style and can't be mistaken for anything else, which I definitely applaud and appreciate. My favorite game of the whole showcase, though, is somehow Doom the Dark Ages. I don't view myself as a Doom superfan, but furry Doom guy looks amazing. The weapons somehow look great. It gave me very Halo vibes. I thought the environments were very Halo, as weird as that sounds. And I don't know, they just know how to like tap into what makes gaming great, zero in, and then distill that into one trailer. I'm so excited for Doom the Dark Ages. Although Doom the Dark Ages is on PlayStation 5 as well, that's already been confirmed. I think the game looks fantastic. I wish it was out this year. 2025, it can't come quick enough. It's probably a first half title, maybe even a Q1 title, and I think it's going to be awesome. Doom and Doom Eternal are phenomenal games. This should be no different, and even though I hate the Middle Ages, they found a way to make medieval cool. The shield being like a Captain America chainsaw hybrid, so sick. My most disappointing reveal of the show was Gears of War E-Day. Why are we not continuing the sequel Gears of War trilogy? Why are we not getting Gears 6? Interestingly enough, Gears of War E-Day did not have a Coalition logo, who we know are working on the next big Gears of War. So maybe this isn't the next big Gears of War. Maybe this is a holdover project as we wait for the Coalition to really develop Gears 6, and this is something that's just to placate fans while we wait. I was hoping that Gears of War as the One More Thing would be this big, stunning, amazing spectacle showpiece of what's new in the Gears world, but knowing that it's Emergence Day, I know people love Marcus and Dom, but like, haven't we got enough of them? And it's going to have all the most basic enemies and basic locales, and I don't know, I don't really love Gears of War lore enough to want to go back and play E-Day when I feel like we played close enough to that. I don't know. It seems like a very strange flex. Gears of War has been much anticipated to come back. I just wish this was Gears 6, and I think then they could have shown Gears 6 as a teaser and then shown E-Day and said like, oh, E-Day is coming out in 2025. Again, I find this whole first party lineup to be very strong, but very strange because it's not coming now. It wasn't coming now back at launch. It wasn't coming now last year, the year before that. It's now still not coming now. We don't have dates for this year's titles, Avowed and Indiana Jones, and we definitely don't know when Fable or South of Midnight or Perfect Dark are arriving. I mean, South of Midnight says 2025, but really, we've seen that before, and sometimes it doesn't hold true. State of Decay 3 gets a 2025 date. State of Decay 3, I don't know. I love State of Decay 1. I thought State of Decay 2 was more of the same. That trailer really doesn't tell me anything about State of Decay 3. It tells me that it's zombies. Okay, I knew that. I kind of wanted more out of that trailer. To me, Fable and Perfect Dark were great, strong trailers. I thought Avowed was a great trailer. I thought Doom the Dark Ages was an awesome trailer. Even Call of Duty looked pretty darn sick. I thought Gears of War, Indiana Jones, State of Decay 3, they all were kind of lacking. Assassin's Creed Shadows looks good. I'm sure we'll see much more at Ubisoft, so I'll save my thoughts for there, but I am very pumped for Shadows and returning to that franchise. Some of the smaller, like, B-tier games look pretty interesting. Expedition 33, Atomfall, Fragpunk, they looked pretty cool. I don't think they're going to be, like, flip the market on its head and sell 10 million, but they do look cool. My favorite is probably Atomfall. I think Rebellion does good shooters, and I think that looks pretty darn nifty. Mixtape looked interesting. Dragon Age the Veilguard, though, also looked sick. I think the cavalcade of characters that they brought forth looked awesome. That game is this year. I'm sure BioWare at some point is going to have to show gameplay and more, because that's supposedly out very, very soon. And we don't really know what it is, except we did get to see the roster today, and I thought the roster looked awesome. A lot of cool different classes, and I've missed BioWare. We haven't got a big successful BioWare game in a very long time, so that should be really nifty to play, and one of the most anticipated big titles in a year that feels pretty slow. I think this fall is going to be dry. I don't know if companies were expecting Nintendo Switch 2 to come out this fall and they kind of held off, or if this is finally COVID striking in terms of like development for these games that got severely impacted. And so this is the year where like, okay, nothing can really push forward because it's all been delayed. Like games that were already in development, they were able to get over the hump, but new games starting up, which would have been back around 2020, 2021, now they'd be coming to fruition and they're needing more time. Even Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn looked pretty cool. That's out in July. We've seen it before. Winter Burrow, Don't Starve with Mice looked really nice as an indie title. I don't really get jonesed for anything to do with Fallout 76, Elder Scrolls Online, or Starfield, because I really just think they need a new game. I think they need a new Fallout, a new Elder Scrolls, and we know eventually Elder Scrolls is coming, but Starfield to me was such a big disappointment. I loved all the pre-release, and then playing the game, it kind of felt like, oh, this is not the evolution of Bethesda. Maybe I should get back into Starfield. Maybe I need to give it another chance. Maybe some of the updates they've made since and this Shattered Space expansion will take you to the next level. But definitely don't really care so much about Elder Scrolls Online or Fallout 76. I was excited when I saw like the Fallout Vault Tech stuff, but then it's 76 and it's like, Stalker 2 looks pretty cool. Kind of a Stalker meets Metro. That game's out in September. That should be a pretty fun time, provided it controls and plays well. I know that game has been a long time coming, but at least it's finally arriving. We had some interesting sort of random reveals. Wu Chang Fallen Feathers, kind of just another like Souls-like, right? We got Flight Sim, which, is great for people that like that. It's not my cup of tea. World of Warcraft, definitely don't care about. Diablo 4, gruesome and super gory. And then, am I missing anything? I'm looking at the list here. Mecha Break strangely showed up at Summer Game Fest and appeared here again. That's like the Gundam adjacent, like mech shooter type title. All in all, no Hollow Knight is weird, and no Clockwork Revolution is weird. Those are two games that popped up in past Xbox showcases. Hollow Knight even said it would be out within 12 months, never to appear again. Disappeared. I don't know what Team Cherry is doing. Hopefully that pops at the next Nintendo Direct. Otherwise, does that game exist? Oh, Age of Mythology Retold. As a fan of Age of Mythology back when I was in middle school and elementary school, I like that. I think it looks cool, but I know it doesn't move the needle for most people. To me, like, Age of Mythology Retold is for me what Flight Simulator 2024 is for most. Call of Duty looks good. I mean, it's Call of Duty. I would love to get into a Call of Duty, and having it be free on Game Pass is probably the way to get it for me. But I don't know. I can't see myself becoming obsessed with the Call of Duty again until they do something dramatically different, and Black Ops 6 is definitely not dramatically different. Maybe the campaign will be really strong. I do think Treyarch is a solid studio, so maybe they can deliver something awesome. But to me, like, the top 3 highlights are Doom the Dark Ages. I think that looks absolutely awesome. Dragon Age the Veilguard, despite not seeing really gameplay, like that game, I have a feeling BioWare is going to do it justice. They've been working on it for so long. And then South of Midnight, I thought it was incredible looking. It's just got such a unique feel, a unique twist. It's like a new IP that, like I said, stands on its own. You don't worry that it's something else or compared to something else. My next few, Perfect Dark and Fable, look awesome, but they're so far off. Like, what are they actually going to be? Will they actually release? When are they coming out? In terms of like smaller titles that looked great, Life is Strange and Atomfall I thought looked really fun, in particular returning as Max Caulfield. And then Avowed and Indiana Jones I think can be great. I just feel like they haven't really shown a ton, and I don't understand why they don't have release dates when these games are coming out soon, super soon, and we're not getting like a big, just like a chunky 10-minute gameplay demo. I don't know. It makes sense that they would release that after this, kind of like Nintendo does their tree houses with further deep dives, but I don't think they will. I think it's probably saved for Gamescom as Xbox looks to spread this stuff out. I also didn't talk about Metal Gear Solid Delta because I don't know what to make of that. The trailer had no year, no date, and looked like what we saw last time. I know some people love Metal Gear. Remakes aplenty, remakes galore. It's kind of my same thoughts as Gears of War E-Day. Like, I'd be super excited for a new Metal Gear. I don't know how I feel about a Metal Gear going back to the past. Yeah. All in all, 8 out of 10 for me, which is super strong. I probably sound more negative than I am than like my score reflects, but I do feel like they delivered a good show. I think not having Doom the Dark Ages be exclusive to Xbox is like a bummer for the Xbox brand, but it looks like a great game. I think they just need some dates, and I think it's very hard when we have games like Fable and Perfect Dark that have been teased forever and still have no year attached to them. Like, we don't know when they're coming. We don't even know when the stuff's coming this year. It feels like Xbox is still stuck in this like quandary in between period, and they were due to get out of that period like 4 years ago. So while I do feel the show is really strong, I think some of the major problems that plague Xbox to this day are still here to this day and are not changing. I would have loved a stealth drop like a Hi-Fi Rush, but oops, they closed that studio down. With all the games they have coming, it's super odd to think that they had to close Hi-Fi Rush down. Like, they seem to be thriving pretty well based on these announcements, but maybe a lot of them aren't coming because they do need more time, more money, and they haven't had anything that cashed in recently at all. I don't know if Indiana Jones or Avowed are going to do it. I hope Indiana Jones sells well. I think Avowed is going to sell very poorly, but we'll wait and see. Let me know what you think of the showcase or thought of the showcase in the comments down below. Some of your favorite highlights. Let me know those games. Anything that you think I'm overlooking or overvaluing, I'd love to hear your take. And until next time, everybody, thanks so much for watching. It felt great to be back in sort of a E3 summer vibes with GhostRobo and all of you. So I appreciate all of you that watched it live. Appreciate those of you that are watching this video. Appreciate those of you that have supported me throughout the years. And until next time, drink some hot chocolate, and we will see you all later.